faithfully delivering value, interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we're exploring the book, The Unfinished Life, subtitled A Mother, Wife, and Daughter's Life Diary. This book is the final testament of a terminal cancer patient, documenting her experiences and insights during life's final chapter. And the author Yuan was a PhD and distinguished young lecturer at Shanghai's Fudan University before her passing. In 2009, 30-year-old Yuan was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, the most advanced form. After enduring over a year of painful treatments, Yuan ultimately left behind her beloved family and departed the world she cherished so deeply. Through nearly 60 diary entries, she documents her cancer journey, reflections on life, self-examination, and profound insights on love, guiding readers to confront mortality and reconsider life's meaning. Most content first appeared on Yuan's Sina blog during her illness, attracting massive attention with over 3 million visits within months. Published in 2010, the book has sold over 500,000 copies and deeply moved countless readers. As China Daily observed, the journey toward death is profoundly dark, yet Yuan illuminated that path. One October 2009 evening, Yu Jian, previously healthy and rarely ill, suddenly developed debilitating back pain that left her bedridden. Doctors initially diagnosed muscle strain, treating her with acupuncture, therapeutic massage, and medicated patches. But after 2 weeks, her condition worsened with pain spreading from her back throughout her entire body. Over the next month, repeated hospital visits yielded misdiagnoses. Doctors suspected leukemia, lung cancer, or bone cancer, though certain it was terminal cancer with full-body metastasis. Hospitals hesitated to admit her without confirmed diagnosis. So Yuan and her family desperately sought help, shuffling between major hospitals for endless tests. Well, by then, she remained largely immobilized, since even slight movement risked agony-induced unconsciousness. In her own words, "It felt like scraping every bone in my body with a dull knife." In the final week of 2009, Yuan was rushed to Shanghai Rujin Hospital's emergency room due to her critical condition. And after reviewing Yuan's medical reports, the chief pathologist asked her husband Guang To what pain medication she was currently taking. "None," Guang Tao replied. The doctor inhaled sharply and said deliberately, "Normally, pain alone would kill most people at her stage." Meanwhile, Yuan was holding her breath and clenching her teeth, enduring the agony silently. In fact, throughout subsequent treatments, whether bone marrow aspirations, chemotherapy, or radiation, Yuan hardly shed a tear. She said, "I don't cry not because I'm strong, but because the pain overwhelms any thought of tears, and I believe if I persist, I'll survive." On the last day of 2009, Yuan was admitted to Rujin Hospital and finally received pain medication. Lying in bed listening to anti-cancer music, Yuan closed her eyes to savor this brief pain-free moment and even remarked casually, without the pain, life could actually be pretty sweet." Her faint look of contentment caused her gloomy mother at the bedside to suddenly burst into laughter. On New Year's Day, 2010, Yuan was diagnosed with terminal breast cancer. Too distraught to communicate calmly with doctors, Guangzhou stepped aside while Yuan personally discussed treatments, medication side effects, even bluntly asking whether she had 2 years or 18 months left. As she wrote, "Since I'm forced onto life's tightrope, I'll open my eyes wide, grip that balancing pole, and become the courageous patient who earns her doctor's respect." Typically, breast cancer treatment involves 3 approaches: surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. First, surgery removes the primary breast tumor. But Yuan's cancer had spread throughout her skeletal torso, ruling out surgery. Only chemotherapy remained. Chemotherapy works by administering oral or IV drugs to kill cancer cells systemically. Yuan received a standard triple-drug chemotherapy regimen. But given her critical state, each drug was administered at maximum human tolerance levels. This triggered relentless vomiting, each episode causing excruciating bone pain throughout her torso, leaving her immobilized, unable to turn or wash properly. Yet Yuan would say, though others see me as suffering most, being alive gives me no room for complaint. Alongside chemotherapy, she also underwent radiation therapy. Radiation therapy, colloquially called light exposure in hospitals, stands as cancer's third major treatment after surgery and chemo, using various energy rays to target and destroy cancer cells. Typically, pre-surgical radiation shrinks tumors, making inoperable cases operable. But for late-stage cases like Yuan's with full-body metastasis, radiation only temporarily relieved pressure and pain. Radiation's a double-edged sword, healing yet potentially lethal. With cancer permeating her bones, radiating every affected spot, would have made her, in her words, a genuine roast suckling peg. After deliberation, doctors targeted radiation at her weight-bearing lumbar bones. Post-radiation, her seared lower back couldn't tolerate lying down, yet extensive bone metastases left her spine like insect-eaten wood, doctors warned, where any movement risked fracture and paralysis. Thus bedridden 20 or more hours daily, medication-induced sweating inflamed her radiation burns. While inflammation's minor for most, for Yuan, and during aggressive chemo in extreme weakness, it threatened her life. Yet recalling this, Yuan remained strikingly matter-of-fact. She wrote, "I don't know how I survived those days. I'm no hero, but no time carries even the bitterest trials into the past." The chemoradiation cycle overwhelmed her, beyond vomiting, beyond dizziness. After consultations, her family and doctors stopped radiation. By then, Yuan had already endured her body's maximum chemo tolerance, but with cancer markers still rising, they turned to targeted drugs. Herceptin, her oncology guidelines, maximizes patient benefit, as targeted therapy typically follows chemotherapy and radiation. Unlike conventional chemo that indiscriminately kills cells, targeted drugs alter internal cellular processes. They selectively attack cancer cells without harming healthy ones. Herceptin serves as a nuclear-grade weapon for late-stage breast cancer, but it's absurdly expensive. Yuan's single dose resembled an eyedropper's volume. In 2010, each dose cost 25,000 yuan, administered every 3 weeks, completely out of pocket with no insurance coverage. Despite Herceptin's lengthy side effect list, doctors assured Yuan and Guantu it was relatively safe, with no adverse cases in their hospital. Tragically, Yuan became Rujin Hospital's first patient to react to Herceptin. Within 5 minutes of injection, her blood rushed toward her heart. Limbs turned icy, sensation vanished, speech failed, pulse disappeared. Blood pressure plummeted to 24. Doctors, swift intervention barely pulled her back from death's door. But with Herceptin's promising effects and staggering cost, abandoning it felt unconscionable. Yuan decisively persuaded her family to continue treatment. Tethered to heart monitors, she endured days of raging fever, surviving on water while drifting in agony, her suffering beyond words. After 2 treatments, she improved remarkably, even regaining mobility. Then came a heartbreaking turn. Desperation clouded their judgment, leading them into a scammer's trap. A fellow patient's husband told Guantou about a miracle doctor claiming to cure cancer in 3 months. He added this Dr. Yang allegedly cured terminal patients with no relapses or metastasis. Like darkness-weary travelers spotting light, they clung to this hope. Guangtou abandoned everything, rushing to Changzhou in sweltering heat without spare clothes. But the miracle doctor was traveling. Guangtou never even saw him. Despite this, after meeting cured patients, Guantao believed, sending Yuan and fellow patient Sister Liu to Huangshan for treatment. The miracle doctor claimed Huangshan's pristine mountains, water, and air could cure cancer. His miracle cure was starvation therapy plus TCM. charging $35,000 monthly while restricting them to grapes and milk. This starves cancer cells, the doctor claimed. Then Chinese medicine destroys them. Within a month, Sister Lu vomited blood violently while Yuan suffered breathlessness and abdominal agony. How? How? Yet they believed these were healing reactions to the doctor's herbs, enduring in hopes of recovery. Whether from physical collapse or inability to pay, Sister Lu was taken down the mountain and died days later, revealing the entire scheme as a cruel fraud.
With Ruijin Hospital full, Yuan's frantic family rushed her near death to Shanghai Zhongshan Hospital, beginning a desperate race against time.
After Huangshan, Yuan's cancer had metastasized to lungs, liver, and skeleton. Doctors urgently switched her to lapatinib. This newer targeted drug is used when Herceptin fails in advanced breast cancer cases. 2 months later, her condition barely stabilized. Surviving again, Yuan reflected. I blame no one but myself for believing lies. Yet being alive leaves no room for complaint. But the Hanshan ordeal accelerated her physical decline. In her final months, Yuan endured one last ineffective chemo round. Labored breathing, prevented lying down. Nausea, vomiting, liver pain, and pleural effusion worsened daily. On April 2nd, 2011, Yuan celebrated her final birthday. On April 19th, 2011, after 16 months of cancer battles, Yuan passed away. Through unimaginable suffering, in her final days, Yuan demonstrated extraordinary optimism and courage. After returning from Hanshan, she began writing prolifically on her Sina blog, reflecting deeply on life's big questions. Most of this book's content comes from blog entries she updated during this period. Yuan first examined her past lifestyle. She admitted chasing worldly fame and wealth had made her completely neglect her health. Yuan jokingly called herself a 2W girl. The W stands for weak, meaning she only studied seriously during the 2 weeks before exams. Except for college and grad school entrance exams, she never prepped longer than 2 weeks for any qualification test. During these cram sessions, she'd push herself mercilessly. Ignoring her physical well-being, she wrote, I drove myself like livestock, galloping day and night, forgetting sleep and meals, exhausting my heart's blood. Her record was studying 21 hours straight. After cramming for 2.5 days, then taking exams, she'd collapse and sleep for days to regain strength. After her diagnosis, Guantao scolded her. You're like a battered car that never gets maintenance, but floors the accelerator all night. Doing this 4 or 5 times yearly. Even steel cars would break down after 20 years. Bedridden Yuan finally paused, realizing her past recklessness wasn't worth it. For example, she'd tried earning a University of Oslo master's and Fudan PhD simultaneously in 3.5 years. Failing despite nonstop effort left her furious. Reflecting later, she wrote, how many on earth care whether I got my PhD 1 year early or late? Another example. Her ambition to become an associate professor in 2-3 years made her obsess over papers and research projects. And, she confessed, I couldn't see clearly before my illness. Now I know happiness should come from sustainable life goals, not fleeting fame. Chasing glory is always bitter, yet you take none with you when you go. Beyond lifestyle reflections, Yuan also examined relationships with loved ones during her final countdown. Yuan couldn't release her grandmother from her heart. She'd been raised by her grandparents. Now, her bond with Grandma was deepest. After college graduation, Yuan heard about a health supplement called Fendo. That Lunar New Year, she brought some to Grandma, promising, once I'm working, I'll bring you to Shanghai and buy fondue daily. Grandma just laughed. This old body can't move. If you insist, bring photos instead. Those words proved prophetic. Before Yuan could fulfill her promise, Grandma passed away. Yuan was studying in Norway and missed Grandma's final moments. Another loved one was her mother, whom Yuan also couldn't release from her heart. In 2005, after Grandpa and Grandma died consecutively, Mom retired, plunging into isolated grief no one understood. Over calls, Mom grew despondent daily, but Yuan in Norway could only watch helplessly. Even that spring festival, busy with research, she didn't return, just called to say she'd bought Mom a rabbit fur coat. A New Year's gift? But Mom remained listless. No coat could warm such profound sorrow. Back then, Yuan didn't comprehend. Now the memory fills her with guilt. Had I been there, I'd have cheered her, drawn her into social circles, shared hobbies, even chatted all night about my travels. At least she wouldn't have counted empty days without holiday spirit. Oh, Yuan said. I preached filial devotion, yet remained powerless during family crises, couldn't even pour water when she thirsted. Now, Mom keeps constant vigil at her sickbed, soon to endure every parent's nightmare, burying their child. Naturally, Yuan also ached with longing for her babbling toddler son to do potato. She'd known pregnancy's thrill, childbirth's bliss, daily joy with her son, only to face possibly never watching him grow, an unimaginable pain. Once post-chemotherapy, 19-month-old To-Do climbed onto her lap at home and sang in baby tones. Only Mommy is best. With Mommy, a child is treasured. Through tears, she thought, my child might soon become an orphan. She even cursed, if only I could endure this pain, immobilized. Day after day, like a paralyzed patient, with no clean spot left on my body, lying at the Guotai-Jingli intersection, enduring thousands curses and trampling. All I ask is to see my parents holding To-Do's hand, skipping to kindergarten. I'd endure anything for that. Yet, when writing about her husband, Guantou, partnered 15 years, Yuan often adopted a lighter tone. Like when chemotherapy caused massive hair loss, she teased the perpetually bald Guantou. Mine will regrow, yours never will. Still, her words reveal their profound love and attachment. After Yuan fell ill, Gongtao kept constant vigil, daily tending to his immobilized wife's most intimate needs. His most frequent plea, I just beg heaven to let you live. Let me wipe your bottom like this for 50 years. Yuan's deepest regret was not cherishing family time while healthy, a lesson learned at terrible cost. At death's threshold, you realize overtime, self-imposed pressure, car and house obsessions, all are fleeting clouds. At life's brink, spend time with your children, buy parents' shoes instead of cars, cherish loved ones in small spaces. Warmth matters more than mansions. Yuan clung to life not from worldly attachment, but from unfulfilled responsibility toward family. She declared, we don't live for ourselves alone. We owe parents care in life and dignity in death, never letting them face old age alone. We owe children full parental commitment, never abandoning those we brought into this world. What could she offer them now? Knowing her physical powerlessness, she met agony with intensified courage. When pain threatened consciousness, she'd bite back screams and seize moments to comfort her parents and husband teetering on emotional collapse. To her toddler, she said, my only gifts now are smiles. My only strength is for him. I may never guide his growth, but my actions will prove. Your mother was no coward. I want to be a mother my son can be proud of. This was Yuan's unique way of expressing love and longing for her son. In her final days, Yuan naturally contemplated life's ultimate meaning. Why do we exist in this world? Her answer, to do things that benefit others. Yuan had been compassionate since childhood. At 11, she funded a rural child's education with her allowance, persisting 8 years until the child stopped studying. They became pen pals and maintained contact. When the girl learned of Yuan's illness during her own pregnancy, she insisted her husband deliver thick wads of cash and 2 free-range chickens. Over phone calls, the girl thanked Yuan profusely, but Yuan countered, she gave me the chance to help and brought me joy through it. That joy let an 11-year-old build self-worth, something money can't buy. A privilege. During severe illness, Yuan declared, I can't do much else, but I can practice tasteless giving. Tasteless giving, a Buddhist concept, means using one's suffering as reference to ease others' pain. Yuan explained, those in hardship see my state and taste relief, realizing their pain pales in comparison. This became her reason for writing through illness.
In her final 3 months, when Guantou was out, Yuan wrote endlessly, sometimes collapsing mid-sentence, only to resume upon waking.
She repeated, if my experience warns or helps even one person, it's meaningful. The Huanshan scam was sensitive. Yuan hesitated to write it, fearing exposure of medical naivety. But she insisted not sharing it risks more victims being swindled, or worse. As friend Zhang Peiyuan wrote in the afterword, this ordinary woman stripped worldly desires, yet still sought others' welfare. After Huanshan, Yuan lost half her vitality, barely recovering. Some fellow patients' widowers sought legal justice for their deceased wives.
They sought Yuan out. She was the only surviving witness among all involved.
Yuan knew the scammers had complex ties. Participating could unleash new storms on her already overwhelmed family. She understood her best chance was resting quietly, not stirring trouble. But she declared, cancer ravaged my organs yet never corrupted my conscience. She always remembered her master's advisor's words. Intellectuals are society's backbone. Being the backbone, she explained, means intellectuals must oversee society, critique injustice, and champion the vulnerable. So bedridden resolve resolutely became the second plaintiff. This happened just 5 months before her passing. Beyond her writing, Yuan's unfulfilled dream was her energy forest project. Energy forests cultivate trees for biomass fuel production. Species like Chinese pistache contain rich oils that can replace petroleum energy. In Yuan, during her Oslo University studies, she specialized in biomass energy policy research. She planned an energy forest research base near her hometown, Khufu's mountainous region in Jining, Shandong, with detailed proposals. Her final wish was burial in Shandong's energy forest, watching future generations succeed with her project. Yuan's family pledged all book royalties to support the energy forest. After her death, her loved ones collaborated with local governments, rural cooperatives, Fudan University, and Oslo researchers to fulfill her vision. A decade later, Yuan's cherished energy forest flourished. Barren mountains turned lush with ecological and economic promise. Yuan once wrote, true happiness comes from merging personal goals with noble causes, uniting self-worth and social value. Though her life ended prematurely, this book and thriving forest became her enduring legacy, another form of fulfillment. That concludes our reading of The Unfinished Life. Find notes below. See you next time. A genuine roast suckling pig with my body intensely focused.